My husband posted my body online, shocked by dark web secrets he had been hiding from me. Hello everyone, I'm Grace. I'm a teacher, a mother of two wonderful children, and until recently, I thought I was a happily married woman. But life has a way of upending our expectations in the most shocking ways, and now I find myself navigating a world I never anticipated, amidst a scandal that's turned my life inside out. It all began on a seemingly ordinary Tuesday evening. I was using my husband Nolan's laptop to prepare some teaching materials when I stumbled upon something unimaginable: videos of me, intimate moments that I never knew were recorded. To my horror, I discovered that these videos weren't just stored away, but had been shared online, on an adult website. The betrayal was as immediate as it was profound. In the days that followed, my confrontation with Nolan shattered what was left of our marriage. He confessed to a hidden addiction to voyeurism and exhibitionism, secrets that he had kept from me throughout our marriage. This revelation sparked a chain reaction that tore through every aspect of my life: my personal privacy, my family's stability, and even our standing in the community. As I write this, I am living with my sister, trying to figure out how to rebuild my life and protect my children from the fallout of their father's actions. I am here to share my story, not just as a form of catharsis, but also in the hope of finding support from others who might have faced similar betrayals. This journey is about navigating through the storm, finding my strength, and perhaps helping others feel less alone in their own battles. So, let's get to the story itself. That evening, as I sat at the kitchen table surrounded by papers and lesson plans, I was blissfully unaware of the chaos that awaited me. Nolan had said he'd be working late again, and the house was unusually quiet, just the soft ticking of the clock and the occasional hum of the refrigerator. I needed a few files from Nolan's laptop for a school presentation, and he'd told me his password long ago, never hinting at any reason I shouldn't use it. As I searched through his cluttered desktop for my files, a minimally labeled folder caught my eye. Curiosity piqued. Perhaps it contained some of our family vacation photos that I had been asking him to sort out. I clicked on it, expecting memories of beaches and smiles, but instead, I was met with content so jarring that it took my breath away. Videos and images, explicitly revealing, and the subject was unmistakably me, captured in our most private moments. My heart raced as I clicked through one video to another, each clip a betrayal, slicing through my trust like a knife. The realization that these were not just stored but published online for strangers to view made me physically ill. When Nolan finally came home, I was waiting, the laptop open to the last video I had watched. His face drained of color the moment he saw what was on the screen. The confrontation that followed was explosive. Nolan stumbled over his words, apologies interspersed with confessions of an addiction he had struggled with for years, an urge to share these intimate moments with the world, hidden behind the facade of a loving husband. The feeling of violation was overwhelming. I felt exposed and humiliated, not just by the intimate betrayal, but by the public nature of his deceit. How many people had watched? How could I ever feel safe again? The argument spiraled, and with each of Nolan's attempted explanations, my horror grew. This wasn't just a breach of trust, it was a profound violation of my privacy and autonomy. Late into the night, as the initial shock settled into a deep, aching anger, I made the decision to leave. I packed some essentials for myself and the kids, and by dawn, we were at my sister's door, seeking refuge in the one place I hoped we could feel safe. The days that followed were a blur of tears, legal consultations, and uncomfortable conversations with family members. My sister was my rock, outraged on my behalf, and fiercely protective. We discussed next steps, both legal and personal, and she encouraged me to take time to process and plan my next moves carefully. This discovery was more than just the uncovering of a secret. It was the unraveling of my life as I knew it. As I tried to shield my children from the fallout and grapple with the magnitude of Nolan's betrayal, I knew that our lives were irrevocably changed. The path forward was unclear, but one thing was certain: the old version of my life was over, and a new, uncertain chapter was beginning. The initial shock of discovery soon morphed into the reality of dealing with the fallout. With my children safely tucked away at my sister's house, I began the arduous process of understanding the full extent of the damage and figuring out my next steps. My sister, Claire, was instrumental during this time, offering not just a physical refuge, but also emotional support. Claire was furious when I told her everything. She immediately rallied to my side, her protectiveness a small comfort in the chaos. "We need to protect you and the kids first," she insisted, ready to take on anyone who threatened to make the situation worse. Her home became my fortress, shielding us from the immediate backlash. The wider family reaction was mixed. While my parents and close relatives were supportive, offering sympathy and aid, there was an undercurrent of disbelief and discomfort. Some relatives couldn't grasp the full gravity of the betrayal, inadvertently downplaying the severity by suggesting that perhaps this was just a one-time mistake on Nolan's part. Their attempts at finding excuses for his behavior only served to deepen my sense of isolation. Outside the confines of family, the community's reaction was even harsher. Living in a small town where privacy was already a premium, the scandal spread like wildfire. Neighbors and friends who had once greeted me warmly now offered mixed reactions of pity, discomfort, and in some cases, outright judgment. The parents of my students whispered at school functions, their sideways glances a constant reminder of my unwanted notoriety. Professionally, the repercussions were immediate and devastating. As a teacher, I prided myself on maintaining a reputation that fostered trust and respect. Now, I felt that trust eroding under the weight of the community's judgment. Despite having done nothing wrong, I felt compelled to hold a meeting with the school principal, explaining the situation in vague terms to preempt any rumors reaching her first. "Grace, you have my full support," the principal assured me after our conversation. "Your personal life should not affect your job here." Despite her reassurances, the tension at work remained palpable, a subtle shift in dynamics that left me feeling vulnerable and exposed. As the days turned into weeks, the strain of public scrutiny and the barrage of legal details became overwhelming. I hired a lawyer to deal with the potential ramifications of Nolan's actions, including privacy violations and the impact on our impending divorce proceedings. The lawyer was a beacon of professionalism in the tumult, guiding me through the necessary steps to protect myself and my children from further exposure. During this time, the emotional toll began to manifest in physical ways. Sleepless nights were frequent, and anxiety became a constant companion, making day-to-day responsibilities a battle. My kids, too young to understand the full scope of what was happening, sensed the tension and clung to me with more urgency than before. One particularly difficult day, Claire sat me down, her expression etched with concern. "You need to take care of yourself, Grace. Not just for your sake, but for your kids," she said gently. Her words were a wake-up call, reminding me of the need to find strength, not just to fight back, but to heal. The journey through this storm was far from over, but as I navigated each challenge, I drew on reserves of strength I never knew I had. The betrayal had shattered my world, but it would not define me. As I faced each day, the support of those who truly stood by me became my anchor, reminding me that from the ashes of this ordeal, a new, stronger self could emerge. In the weeks following the discovery, the complexity of my situation deepened as I navigated the dual challenges of impending legal battles and the ongoing emotional turmoil. My lawyer, Helen, was a pillar of support and professionalism. She walked me through the nuances of privacy laws and helped draft the paperwork for a restraining order against Nolan to prevent any further privacy breaches or unwanted contact. This legal shield was crucial not only for my peace of mind, but also for establishing boundaries that felt violently eroded. Meanwhile, the process of filing for divorce was emotionally taxing. Helen outlined the steps, which included sessions of mediation that I dreaded. The thought of facing Nolan, even across a table with lawyers present, churned my stomach. Each legal form, each signature, felt like etching my personal failure into permanence. During this period, my emotional state fluctuated wildly. Some days, I felt empowered and resolute, ready to reclaim my life and protect my children. Other days, I found myself grappling with a deep-seated sadness and betrayal that left me unable to get out of bed. My sister Claire was instrumental during these lows, ensuring I wasn't alone, often taking leave from work to be by my side. My children, sensing the shift in our lives, often asked about Nolan. Explaining the situation in terms they could understand, without instilling fear or bias, was one of the hardest challenges. "Daddy made some big mistakes, and we need to stay here where it's safe," I told them, simplifying a situation that I myself struggled to comprehend. The community's whispers and the isolation I felt when stepping outside became almost suffocating. At school, while most colleagues were supportive, a few seemed to withdraw, perhaps unsure how to interact with me amidst the scandal. This professional isolation hurt, but it also steeled my resolve to not let this situation define my career or my capabilities as a teacher. As the divorce proceedings dragged on, Nolan attempted to reach out directly. He sent letters apologizing, claiming therapy and a newfound perspective had changed him. Each letter was forwarded unopened to Helen, as per the advice, but they weighed on my mind, a constant reminder of the life I was trying so hard to move past. A pivotal moment came when I decided to join a support group for women dealing with similar issues of betrayal and public scandal. There, I found a community that understood the complexity of my emotions: anger, betrayal, grief, and the struggle to rebuild trust. The stories shared in those meetings mirrored my own in many ways, providing both comfort and insight into my journey of healing. One session, in particular, resonated deeply. A woman spoke about how reclaiming her independence was not just about legal battles and physical separation, but about understanding and forgiving herself for not seeing the signs earlier. Her words sparked a realization within me about the importance of self-compassion throughout this process. This phase of my life was marked by small victories and significant setbacks, each legal achievement shadowed by emotional backslides. But through it all, the support of my sister, my lawyer, and my support group provided a foundation of strength that allowed me to face each day with a bit more confidence than the last. As the final mediation session approached, I prepared myself to face Nolan, not just as the man who had betrayed me, but as a chapter of my life that I needed to close, not with bitterness, but with clarity and a hope for a new beginning. I braced myself for the uncomfortable yet necessary closure of my chapter with Nolan. With each day, I felt slightly more prepared to face him, to officially untangle our lives in the eyes of the law. However, my resolve was tested when Nolan reached out, asking to meet privately again. He looked earnest and remorseful as we sat across from each other in the quiet corner of a local cafe. "Grace, I've been doing a lot of thinking," he began, his voice low. "I know I've made unforgivable mistakes, but I'm here, hoping we can find a way to start over somehow." I listened, warily, as he spoke about his realization of the pain he had caused, his regret palpable. "I know it's a lot to ask for another chance, but I miss our family, and I am willing to do whatever it takes to make things right," he continued, his eyes searching mine for any sign of softening. I felt a turbulent mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a fleeting wish that his words could erase the past. "Nolan, how can I trust anything you say?" I asked, the weight of our history heavy in my voice. "How do I know you're not just telling me what I want to hear?" He seemed prepared for this, nodding slowly. "I understand why you'd think that, Grace. I just ask that you consider it, for us and for our children." The meeting left me unsettled, turning over the possibility of forgiveness against better judgment. However, any lingering doubts were obliterated when, just days later, a new scandal surfaced, one that tore through the fragile threads of trust that might have remained. A friend, hesitatingly and with a gentle warning, sent me a link to a video that had begun circulating online. It was Nolan, unmistakably recorded in an intimate setting, not with me, but with another woman. The timestamp on the video was recent, proving that his indiscretions were not just in the past, but ongoing. The revelation was a cold splash of reality on any embers of reconciliation. This was not just a violation of our past, but a clear indication of his present character. Betrayed anew, my decision became clear and immediate. There would be no more chances. I met with my lawyer the next day, my course of action firm. "I want to proceed with the divorce, Helen. No mediation, no reconciliation. It's over," I declared with a resolve that surprised even me. Helen nodded, her expression one of professional neutrality, but with a hint of personal approval. "I'll make the necessary arrangements. We'll make sure you're protected legally and financially," she assured me. As I left her office, the finality of my decision settled around me like a mantle. It was not just the end of my marriage, but the beginning of something new, a life where I could make decisions without the cloud of Nolan's deceit. Facing Nolan became a formality, my responses measured and resolute. The evidence of his recent actions was presented, silencing any arguments he might have prepared. The terms of the divorce were laid out without his contest, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of control returning to me. Walking out of the room, I felt the chapter firmly closing behind me. The road ahead would not be without its challenges, but for the first time, I faced it without the shadow of Nolan's betrayal darkening the path. I was free to rebuild, to heal, and perhaps one day, to trust again on my own terms. After the definitive end of my marriage and the painful revelations that accompanied it, I was left to navigate a landscape marred by betrayal and public scandal. The process of rebuilding my life was daunting, but necessary. I had to find a way to restore not only my personal sense of trust, but also to reclaim my professional standing and manage the pervasive rumors that swirled around me. In the aftermath of the divorce, I returned to teaching full-time. Stepping back into the school environment, where whispers and sideways glances had become all too common, was challenging. My professional reputation had suffered a blow due to the public nature of Nolan's indiscretions, and I was acutely aware of the murmurs in the hallways and the staff room. Determined to quell the rumors and restore my reputation, I approached the situation head-on. I requested a meeting with the principal and key staff members to clear the air. I appreciate the support many of you have shown, and I want to assure everyone that my focus remains on providing the best educational experience for our students, I expressed during the meeting. My forthrightness seemed to earn me a renewed respect among my colleagues, and slowly, the whispers subsided, replaced by a professional normalcy that I had sorely missed. Rebuilding trust in my personal life was a slower, more intricate process. The betrayal I had experienced left deep scars, and the idea of opening up again felt both terrifying and nearly impossible. I leaned heavily on therapy, working through my feelings of betrayal and learning to trust my own judgment again. My therapist guided me through exercises in vulnerability and setting boundaries, tools that I found invaluable as I cautiously navigated new relationships. It was during this period of personal growth that I met Liam at a local community event. He was different from Nolan in every way, gentle, transparent, and deeply respectful of my experiences. Our relationship developed slowly, built on a foundation of mutual respect and open communication. Liam understood the importance of trust and gave me the space and support I needed to heal. Introducing Liam to my children was a step I took with great care. They had felt the sting of their father's actions as deeply as I had, and I was determined to protect them from any further emotional upheaval. To my relief, they took to Liam with an ease that warmed my heart. He was patient with them, never pushing for acceptance, but always available, a steady presence in our slowly rebuilding lives. Together, we attended school events, community gatherings, and little by little, the image of our family unit began to reshape itself into something new and hopeful. The community's perception shifted as well. Seeing me happy and stable with Liam helped dispel lingering rumors and whispers about my past. As I reflect on the journey from the depths of betrayal to the cautious optimism of my new life, I recognize the immense inner work it required. Rebuilding trust, both in myself and in others, was not a linear process, and there were setbacks along the way. However, the support of a therapist, a loving partner, and a community that eventually rallied around me provided a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Now, looking forward, I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. I'm building a life that is no longer defined by betrayal, but enriched by experiences that have taught me about the strength of forgiveness, the importance of boundaries, and the unanticipated joy that comes from second chances. As I blend my life with Liam's and nurture my children in this new family dynamic, I do so with an awareness and gratitude for every moment of peace and every lesson learned along the way.